I'm just kind of joking around, but I think like the only use case for progesterone in men would really be like if you're sick or like
Right.
say you're gonna go
Or
through
okay.
like say
Yeah,
you're gonna
sorry.
go through like a airport. Like I've done this before. It's like I know the airport's gonna be really stressful, and I tend to like when I'm like getting my bag checked and like going through like EMF and all that, and like on the plane and like probably fasting too because I don't want to eat while I'm in the microwave
Mhm.
plane. That like I'll tend to be like more stressed. So I mean,
Huh.
I could just take pregnenolone, but like maybe you take a little bit of progesterone and you tend to feel a lot better and don't have to worry about the stress. Um, or if you're like very sick, because progesterone tends to like just like help with all sorts of functions as far as like the gut and like opposing estrogen, which is stressful. So it can like help you sleep better. It can help you be more relaxed. It tends to like improve like the thyroid hormone conversion. So it's just like basically like an energy promoter and like stabilizer of like all sort of bodily functions. But I think pregnenolone is probably like more of like the male version where it's like if you're a male, you probably want to take pregnenolone, and if you're a woman, you probably want to take progesterone.
Yeah.
And also like I tend to think like as long as your hormones are being produced, which is like as long as you're under 30, your hormones are going to be like in place. Like
Mhm.
they should be working
Mhm.
properly. And I think every year after 30, like there's like a certain like maybe like 1 to 5% decrease in like pregnenolone DHEA, which is like what causes aging and stuff. So like if you're like 60 years old and you're kind of like yeah, you could be healthy without taking these, but you might see like a very like stark increase if you're taking pregnenolone and
Right.
DHEA when you're 60 years old and your production's naturally down. But I think the most important thing to realize is that like proper thyroid production like makes sure that these hormones are in the right place. So I've like tinkered around with taking like pregnenolone DHEA, and I tinkered around with taking some progesterone, and like I've never felt better than when I'm just like my thyroid's working properly. Like I can take like, and also pregnenolone has really bad oral availability anyways, but like
Okay.
say I took like 150 milligrams of of pregnenolone, and normally the body converts 30 to 50 per day. Maybe I'm only getting like 5 milligrams of that, or I don't even really know what the number is. But my point is just that like I feel way better than it when I just have proper thyroid production,
Okay.
which like for me would just be like a temperature that's high. Like I'm not overthinking things. I have the energy to do my work I want to do, and like I'm feeling like confident and like not depressed or anxious or anything like that.
Right. Right.
So, and like how do you get there? Maybe like changing your diet, maybe incorporating some coffee. Maybe you have to experiment with thyroid hormones because for 5 to 10 years you were eating horrible food, so you fasted a lot, so your thyroid is down. So
Yeah.
I think the thyroid, that's why like it's so important, is that it produces the hormones that will then make you feel good. And like trying to mess around with the hormones is almost like it's like a reverse. Like why would you try to, it's like for people that want to increase their testosterone, but your cholesterol is 300, just lower your cholesterol and then your testosterone will naturally rise. And it's the same thing with like other things like SHBG. It's like if you want your free test to be higher, well, why would you shoot up tests when you could just lower your SHBG and
Pre-
things
yeah.
like I think the idea is that pregnenolone, when you take it, it starts to make more pregnenolone, so it's not the same as testosterone. So like if you take testosterone, then you shut down your own
Yep.
production because it's like the pituitary level, you're shutting it down. And pregnenolone, it doesn't shut down your own body's ability to make pregnenolone, which is interesting. But overall, I just think like the thyroid's going to be the most like bang for your buck as far as like if your thyroid's not there, you could still take the other hormones and maybe like they're high enough. But like this is like the systemic problem is that you're not like the thyroid's making everything work properly from the sex hormones to um like having like healthy like bowel movements and stuff like that. So
Hmm.
I think like trying to like back up the hormones into the proper way without getting the thyroid there is like kind of like stupid in my opinion. Like it's just like a fool's idea to try to be like, oh well, I feel horrible and my diet sucks and I'm eating all these things that are like impairing my body's ability to make energy, but I'm just gonna take like progesterone and that's gonna like solve my issue. Like I don't think that's not my view at all.
Yeah. This is such a crazy and interesting rabbit hole. I'm so happy I got into it, and
Yeah,
I'm excited to keep going through it. So something you said about like DHEA converting to estrogen or testosterone, for what the body would need. I feel like that's true, but then why would we see like cases of men, most of them being super high estrogen and low testosterone? Like, wouldn't it be just like an environmental problem? Like, does
Um,
does that question make sense? Wouldn't like the environment dictate if DHEA is going to like convert into estrogen and testosterone?
yeah. So my point,
Environment and habits,
yeah.
of
So
course.
my point was that like if you so you're in a current state when you take the hormone like DHEA. So DHEA can either go into testosterone or it can go into estrogen.
Uh,
And like say you were like 25 to 30% body fat and
yeah. Okay.
you're like are prone to aromatize like y- or I might have been mistaken. I might need to look this up because I don't know if DHEA actually goes into estrogen or if it just does that through testosterone. Um,
Huh.
let me look it up one
Yeah. Of
second.
course. Of course.
Let's see.
Yeah. That made me think.
I might have messed that up. Um,
Dude, the noises of the birds in your background is beautiful.
and also the other thing is that like the charts are pretty bad. Okay, so this is what I believe it is actually is that DHEA goes into androstenedione and then goes into testosterone, and
Yeah.
then testosterone can aromatize. So
Okay.
I think
Okay.
my point
Okay.
was more so that if you're taking DHEA without like progesterone, which so progesterone lowers your estrogen naturally. So like if you take progesterone with DHEA, your DHEA that converts into testosterone would be more likely to go into DHT than estrogen.
Oh, I see.
So like if you're more prone to be estrogenic and you're taking DHEA, just
Yeah.
DHEA, there's a risk that the DHEA just goes into testosterone and then aromatizes, which you wouldn't want the higher estrogen,
Okay.
which is like the same thing where if you took testosterone, you're like people think like, oh, you just need higher tests. And it's like, well, what happens if the test is just aromatizing? Like
Right.
you want the
Right. Right.
test to
Right.
go into DHT, which DHT is more potent than testosterone and then can't be aromatized too. So that's what I think of like as far as like the goal of like if you were going to take DHEA, you might want to take it with pregnenolone or progesterone, I believe, because those tend to block estrogen and stress, which would cause the DHEA to go into test and then estrogen.